I would say being world champion is like different category because like you are representing your country,
Hmm.
but being with your college team, like it was something new for me, to experience that being in new environment and in the new culture.
What should young players, pay attention to, like a practical advice, when deciding which college to choose from?
The mental part, I think you can. I was prepared, from the basketball perspective, but the mental part of becoming student athlete is definitely the most difficult part. I had to find new school. You know, I always wanted to, get it done, get to the finish line. So never was their idea of me like flying back home, because I would disappoint myself and my family, who invested so much. But you have to really fight for it during practices, because you are there like new player, nobody knows how you play, what you do. So you have to really fight every day, trash talking with teammates. Sometimes it
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Basketball Body and Mind. Today, I'm joined by a player that I had the chance to work with for 3 years, Nicolas Numeros, aka Niko. He recently finished his college basketball career at Wayland Baptist University, Texas. Niko is also a world champion of student. He's from Czech Republic, and he has been in national teams, youth national teams when he was young. And one funny story I would like to open this conversation: he was the person who didn't like weight room at all. The first interaction, he said to me, Stan, I don't lift heavy. I want to be fresh for basketball games. But later, he fell in love with the weight room so much that it was hard to drag him out from the weight room. Niko, welcome to the show.
yeah, hello everyone, and I'm glad to be here, with you. It's really a pleasure for me. So I'm excited.
Do you remember that our interaction, the first one?
Oh, yeah, I definitely do. Because back in the day, before I met you, I took lifting weights and gym as something not as important in my life. But with you, I found out that for me as a basketball player, it's key part to be successful in basketball.
Yes, you didn't have a choice. You were forced to lift weights when we met because I knew everyone will need to lift heavy.
Yeah,
Yes.
heavy weights.
Yes, look, goal for today is, of course, to talk, but to talk about your journey, and maybe you could share, or I could extract some of the lessons that you have learned, because you were at the point where many kids or teenagers that are listening right now, that they are right now where you were 4 years ago, just about to go to the USA. So the first question that I have for you is, when or how old were you when you start thinking seriously about that USA could be an option?
So it was my dream since I was a kid to come to the USA because United States is like motherland of basketball. So when I was a kid, I already kind of aimed for it. But seriously, I started before world pandemic. When I was graduating high school, and I came to the GBA Academy to get ready and prepared for college basketball. And then during the world pandemic was when I really considered to coming to the States and get my degree and play college basketball.
Okay, so you were, let's say, approximately maybe 17 or something, and you said that you came to the GBA. So GBA was facility that is like a basketball academy that develops. So of course you changed probably many things what you did before going to the GBA. But when you came to the GBA, what kind of changes happened? Like, did you needed to work more on your skills, on your basketball, on the weight room? Of course, weight room we already talked. But what kind of changes did you make in your preparation as a basketball player?
It was definitely more skills and understanding the knowledge of the game, the special terms, how to, call stuff, and overall, like just working on my body to be more developed as a player.
And do you think that if coaches were not helping, if you didn't have coaches around, do you think that you would have been able to do that by yourself? Were you aware about these things that you need to work on?
No, not really, because it's always great to have mentors who have experience in that field and they kind of guide you towards those like areas of basketball where you need to grow and work on your weaknesses and turn them into strengths. So overall, becoming better from all perspectives of the game, like study sessions, like I wasn't doing that much, before that, and so all these like parts of the game, they are like a puzzles, and you need to put them together to make the whole picture.
And you feel that the things that you were doing, they really kind of helped you to transition to the USA, to the college basketball when you went to the USA?
Yeah, I definitely agree because our academy was international, so also like comparing yourself to people from other countries, see how they play basketball, the diversity, understanding how people approach game of basketball in different countries. So you have to adjust to other playing life styles.
Yes, and when you so now you are prepared, you went to the USA. Was it the USA like first-hand experience as you expected, like what you think you were prepared, or was it like something like a big surprise?
I think it was a like competitive environment because everybody in the USA, especially I went to junior college first, so you competing for going to the 4 year school after that. So it was a really competitive environment that every day was really high level.
Okay, and any stories? Maybe you were surprised by anything when you went to the USA?
Like you definitely have to earn your respect as an international player because there's not many players on uh, Americans roster, so you have to really earn your spot. You have to really fight for it during practices, because you are there like new player. Nobody knows how you play, what you do, so you have to really fight every day. Trash talking with teammates. Sometimes it gets really like really personal, but it's the competitive nature in those four lines. It's like nothing like against you, but it's just fighting for your life.
Yes, yes. So any like any crazy stories that you would think? You said like competitive nature, sometimes it gets personal, but any stories that would come to your mind?
Just in general, like because we were split into two groups, like usually the starters, the older players against like the other team, and like you have to let the other team know that you deserve your spot too, and fighting for their spot as well. So it can get really like heated.
Yes. And how were you fighting? What specifically did you need to do in order to show that they would show, I mean, either coaches, players, that they would show respect? What specifically did you, or coach told you, or you decide what to do?
Mhm. Definitely hustle on both sides of the basketball. You have to rebound. You have to get the ball and fight for it. Dive for it and be strong. And that's where the weight room played the biggest role. My freshman and sophomore year, because I think I was so physically like prepared to compete with these guys on the physical attribute. So I was strong in the post and I had great footwork, like the fundamentals. I think that where was my advantage.
And when you said physically ready, I can just guarantee that what it means physically ready. So you were maybe drawbar deadlift. I would say maybe like 200 kilos. So that's 420 or 440 pounds. Bench pressing definitely 100 kilos. That's 220 pounds. Lunges. I don't remember. Was it 80 kilos or 100 kilos? Also walking lunges with that.
Yeah, around that range,
Yes. So
around that
when,
weight.
yes, not taking it lightly when you say physically ready, so 100%. But
Yeah,
were there, uh-huh.
because it's really physical. I use the strength, to battle for the rebounds and the low post on the defense. So it was all from the weight room.
Yes. And but if physically you felt ready, what about technically, tactically, mentally? Were you prepared for that or no?
Like I definitely was like skill work, like the fundamentals, like passing, dribbling, and shooting. I think I had good, I was really prepared with those attributes. And then also, like basketball IQ, you have to make the simple play, like how we are taught in Europe. You have to keep the game simple and find the best possible option for the offense and outsmart your opponent.
True, true. One of the common friends, our common friends, Franta, he was sharing that maybe even though he was very athletic, he said I was not the most athletic. He could dunk between his legs, and he still said that I was not so athletic as the other guys. And he said exactly as you. I needed to outsmart the players because I knew that no matter how much I would train, I would not be more athletic than they are. So I just needed to like simple plays, do what I need to do, but just outsmart them.
I agree. That's definitely important key to be successful, because the players are usually faster and can jump higher, move better, because they are really that gifted, and so you have to use different parts of the game to be successful.
And these are things that you said that you were ready for when you prepared. What about the negative side? What about the biggest, what would, maybe not one, but like, what if I say like the biggest challenge that you had to overcome those 4 years? Was it any injuries that was difficult for you? Was it like loneliness? What was difficult? What were the challenges in USA?
I had couple of injuries, during my college journey. My freshman year, I broke my right hand, which I'm right-handed, which that's not really good. But I turned that adversity into, you know, good stuff, and I was working on my left hand, so I could improve that. And my legs were perfectly functioning, so I could still hit the weight room and do workouts for my leg and core when I couldn't lift with my arms. So I used the time when I was injured to improve my weaknesses and do more study film sessions. So always turning the negative injury into time to use that to improve in other areas of the game. And then also, being homesick, I think that's common for people who are not from there, that they don't have any family or friends, because usually you don't even know the coaches or you don't know the players on your roster. So that's also a really hard time, but you will adjust, with the time, get used to the culture.
What helped you to go through those hard times?
It was, support from my family from back home, watching games, even though there's time difference, like 7 hours. So my family, was watching the games online, in the middle of the night. So, after game, get on a phone with them. So that definitely helped. And being with touch, with players I used to play with here in Europe and with coaches like you, being, having your support.
Yes, other people support. I have done like a recovery course, and one of the most important thing for recovery, of course, sleep, but that social
Mm.
support that you feel from the others, it can also come from the pet. That the happiness the pet brings you, or happy, like for example, dog, he would see you and he would be so happy to see you, and that brings joy inside of you, and you have more positive emotions, and happy people recover faster, like recover
Mm.
physically or mentally. But was it difficult for you, the part of being alone?
Uh, I kind of, I think more kind of get used to it, but I think I kind of figure it out how to, combine all that, with social life in school because you still go, with other students and then, with your teammates you spend most of the time. So you definitely can figure it out and make it work.
Have you thought of quitting during those
No,
4 years?
that was no, that was never an option. Like even though I like transferred and I had to find new school. I always wanted to, get it done, get to the finish line. So never was their idea of me like flying back home, because I would disappoint myself and my family, who invested so much, support in me. I think that I couldn't live with that regret if I ever quit and went home.
Yes, because that decision maybe for next uh, whatever years you would be living, 60, 70,
Mm,
80 years, you would need to live with that regret. What if
mm,
I tried a little bit more?
mm. I agree.
Yes.
So I think I'm proud of myself, not quitting because that's what really made me stronger for the past 4 years.
Yes, yes. This is interesting because I believe most of the people, I cannot say most, I believe it's often thought about, there is a thought of quitting. Maybe it doesn't go so, how to say, so deep inside of the basketball player, but sometimes probably I hear like, what if I will not make it? What if I will not go, I will not get the scholarship? What if I will not get a deal? And I remember I posted on Instagram that it's easier. I took it from the book, Stop BSing Yourself. And I posted that going 90% is harder than going 100%. And you were one of the people that said definitely right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, like
just
if you go
compliments.
all in, yeah, if you go all in, I think you have nothing to lose because when you doubt yourself, I think you cannot go, you know, you cannot put it all in. So I think going 100 and kind of the doubt disappears because you did your best.
Yes, yes. So, what advice would you give to someone who is 16 or 18 years old? They're thinking, whether should I go to the college, or maybe I should, be low key, don't go anywhere, just stay around. You would say that go because you might have regrets,
I
or
don't
it's not
think
for
they
everyone.
are. I think everyone should give it a try because then you can use that experience later in life. You cannot get that back. The another opportunity because you can only go to college. When you are younger, you can always come back home. And continue your journey there. But I think it will give you better understanding how life works in other cultures. So you definitely can use that experience outside of basketball as well.
Yes, growing, growing as a human being, not only as a basketball player, exposing yourself to different cultures, as you said, different experiences for sure will be in another country, and also getting education. is also part of
Mhm.
the journey, because after the basketball career is done, you still have something that you took besides the experiences, but you also have a, degree. Looking back at the moment, year or two before you went to USA, would you do anything differently if you knew what kind of difficulties or challenges will be in USA?
I would definitely focus more on the mental side of the basketball or overall like being athlete, understanding what are the struggles you can face during the journey, and how to become more mentally stronger and immune to certain situations you cannot really control, and focusing on what you can control, and then that really affects your like mental health and your approach towards everything in life, not just during the sports.
When you say this, what comes to your mind? Are this conversation with coaches or something? It's very interesting that you mentioned this.
hmm like what helps me is like what I discovered like recently during my US journey is reading books, about like self improvement and like mental side of the game, how that really affect your performance, and little tiny habits, how they like stack and accumulate together, and then that all transfers to the your performance and how you see and view life, from the mental side.
So are you talking about those tiny habits on the court, like sprint to the defense, box out, or are you talking more about off the court habits?
I think off-court habits, how to manage your time, and having general idea the goals, what you want to do, and how to approach them, and then the mental side of it, how to listen to other people who've been through similar situation, listening to podcasts of athletes, and understanding how does it function in the organizations and in these big like companies like sports, or in general, learn from everywhere.
Yes, listening. I'm surprised that still often young players are not listening to podcasts or, as you said, not reading a book. If a book is written by Kobe Bryant or about LeBron James, or you're listening to the I forgot the name, but James podcast. So
Mhm.
if you listen more of that, it gets into your ears. Imagine listening every day for an hour LeBron James, or like the best basketball players, like it's Kevin Durant. You can find everyone on the podcast. Imagine listening that for for 1 year. LeBron James and all the NBA superstars are talking into your ears. Definitely, you'll be more like them, and it's accessible. It's so easy.
Yeah, nowadays definitely
Yes.
take advantage of it. Or even if you don't have time to listen to the whole episode, at least like there's like short clips, on Instagram, all over the place. So you can definitely at least listen to the main parts that are taken off out of the context.
So mental preparation is something that you would advise, because it's, as I assume, is harder. It was harder than you expected, the USA college journey, mentally.
Oh yeah, mentally, definitely. Like combining become being a student, and also like, performing on the court, a lot of traveling that really like prepares you for the professional life, like coming from one place, coming from the game late in the night, and then next morning you have to wake up for class and write a exam and then practice, and this like never ending cycle.
Yes, yes. So it's interesting, because when I was not there any point of my life, but when somebody is about like you were at the age, I don't remember, let's say 19 years old, you were about to take the journey to the USA, and you're thinking, yeah, everything will be cool, I'm good. But it's just because we are judging future based on our current feeling. So if we are feeling happy, we think future is going to be awesome. Everything is going to be great. If we're sad, we're thinking that future is going to be miserable. So everyone who is about to go to the USA, most likely they are super excited and they think those 4 years are
Mm,
going to be amazing. I'm going to have so much good time. But right now you're saying, of course, it's much more difficult.
yeah, I couldn't tell it better. Like the mental part, I think you can. I was prepared, from the basketball perspective, but the mental part of becoming student athlete is definitely the most difficult part.
So we could also, my question, this is for you, like a question.
Mm,
So developing those tiny habits, do you feel would help for young player to feel less, let's say, stressed on the court, being more
mhm,
professional on the court, so then they are, let's say, feeling better prepared mentally?
like having more confidence in themselves. I agree. Like it starts with the time management. I would say is the biggest because if you know what's ahead of you the next day, and you know which part of the day you're gonna be doing certain activity, then there is like less chaos, and then you are less anxious and less stressed because you know what's coming up next.
And you did not do that like before you went to the USA and you started planning your days like a professional only when you were there or at the end of your journey there.
Yeah, it started like towards my like junior season and now mostly of my senior season, my freshman and sophomore year. I didn't really plan the day. I was more, how things come and go. But now it made my life much easier, and I know what to expect from the day, from day to day basis. Staying present.
Could you share, if you are comfortable, something like that you, what would be the routine that you would have in USA? Let's say it's just regular day, it's in season, it's regular day, there's no game the next day, and let's say that you are about to plan the next day. What kind of thought process you are thinking? Is it like you sit down and you write it down, or you use Google Calendars, or you have everything in your head?
Like I used, just your paper and book, and I just write down like the schedule, and I put it into like certain blocks of the day, and how would I schedule around my classes and around the practice. There was like the set day, the set activities, and then around I would in the remaining time I would put everything else I want to achieve in the day. So, for example,
And
like before school, I would go, to get some shots before my classes start. Then we would have classes, then team practice and team lifts, and then after, again, some time to get some shots, finish my homework during study hall, and then prepare for the next day, recovery, after practice, getting to ice bath and stretching.
so all of these things would be in the calendar or in that, let's say what you wrote.
Yes.
Called
Yeah,
baths too?
they would be. Yeah, definitely. They are my favorite.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Interesting. And when you, let's say if you are going before school to shoot, so what time are we talking approximately?
Like I wake up around like 6, and I was in gym by like 6:30, and I was there till like 7:30, so 1 hour of getting shots because my classes started around 8.
Okay, so you get up at 6. What is going through your mind? Are you negotiating with yourself? Because it's also a mental thing to be disciplined and keep waking up every single day early. What is going through your mind? Or are you aware of what you're saying to yourself to get up from the bed?
Like it starts the night before, with sleep, like you said, if you are
Yes.
recovered from the previous day. And I used to go sleep really early, around like 9 or 10, So you kind of have to, get everything done before that, so not staying up late, and then your
And
body is recovered,
uh
and it becomes a habit. Your body even wakes up naturally, like your body just have enough of sleep and know it's ready at 6, and it just starts moving.
and you say used to because you don't do that anymore when you got back to Europe?
I think every place needs different it needs different routine. It really depends where you at and what are your like goals and what you need to achieve in that like part of that. Off season is maybe scheduled a little bit different because I don't have to go to school anymore, so I can like spread my day a little bit differently, so I can schedule different times for different activities.
Yes. I mean, it's very good point because if you feel that you don't have to wake up so early and you feel that going to bed a little bit later, but sticking to that schedule in this new environment is much more convenient, let's say, for you. So definitely we need to adapt and adjust. Don't be so kind of strict or rigid because environment is changing, as you said. Like if environment change, maybe I will need to adapt myself too. So I just wanted to tease you a little bit. That's why I asked.
Yeah, because it was easier for me to go to get shots now before school, because I know and scheduled my day that I wouldn't have room to do it later in day. But now when I'm around family, and like I need to also like schedule around them, to spend time with them as well, and then also put my work in.
Yes, yes, yes. True. Last question about the college, your college experience is that when, because I'm strength conditioning coach, so I'm interested into that. So how often, when it comes to strength training in the weight room, or let's say some type of track and field like running activities, how often you or your team would train per week? And how heavy or hard would you go?
So off season started in August, and in college the off season is kind of long. It starts in August and it goes all the way till September. So it's like 3 months of off season when you are not playing games. So first month we spent on a track, getting in shape, running and doing different conditioning drills, running a mile on time, and then doing bunch of like burpees and bear crawls, like stuff like that, so you really get mentally stronger as well. And then during the season, it really depends what part of season you are in, but it was usually like 3 times a week, like team lift, and it was focused on like all parts of body. And I was lifting on the game days too, and even after games, at a hotel. So I always like found time for it and adjusted my schedule to it.
Yes, you planned. As somebody said, if you're not planning, uh, let's say your day, somebody else will plan your day. So better plan yourself.
uh, yeah, myself, I always prefer that option.
Yes, because you're saying finding the way to do a lift, as you said, it doesn't appear out of nowhere. Finding the way. Maybe you have to choose lifting or whatever, shooting over something else. That it would be really nice maybe to go out. It would be really nice maybe to stay in bed and just chill for the rest of the evening. Yes, but long term, when we're thinking about the long term, probably that's not always the best thing to do. Sometimes maybe it's smart, as you said, like adapt yourself.
I really like this quote. It's You probably heard it before. It's like fake it till you make it, but it's not actually like faking it, but like trying to live the lifestyle you want to become, and then actually the life starts to becoming your life because you are actually doing it. So you are not actually faking it, but you are living that life, and then later it just
Yes,
gets to the next levels.
exactly. Exactly. You know, like there was also a story that every listener could do that story, like could answer to this question also. So this is the kind of story that interviewer approaches you, you just have won your biggest game, and interviewer asks you, so what did you do? What did you do that you become champion? And you are only allowed to answer what you did in last month or last week or
Mm.
last year. You know, you pick. But if your lifestyle was not, nobody will say, yeah, you know, I was going half effort. I was skipping sometimes weight room. I didn't feel like lifting. You know, I was tired, so I slept. I slept in. I went to bed late. There's no success stories like that. So if your story
Mm.
is like this, most likely that interview will never happen to you.
Yeah, that's that's a great one.
Yes. Okay. Look, Nico, the kind of last part, but we'll still have a short question. But
Hmm.
the last part, you finished your career now in college. So
Hmm.
career is behind you. The college basketball, you're not student anymore, but you said, of the record, you said that you will still have a chance to compete, maybe not compete, but to at least compete in the camp to get to the student national student team that will go to the championship game in Germany. But
Hmm.
what are your goals? How are you going to approach this next chapter in your basketball career?
Like it's off season now, so always work on my Im improving all areas of the game, getting better, like physically and mentally in the off season when you don't have the stuff you have to do during the season, play games, so you can really focus on your development and compete for the Czech national team. That's always the biggest achievement you can do is represent your country and something you love to do and be there and represent your country.
So now when you're back to Czech Republic, how does your routine look like? Because you don't have school anymore. What do you, I mean, it's also you just came back a few days ago, so of course, maybe you are still resting after the season a little bit more, but how you think your routine will look, your day and routines will look like?
Like even though I just came back, I will try to put some other activities in, like staying still active and also like I heard that doing other sports like helps in your sport because you try different movements and understand that how your body function and how your body moves. So I will try to do a little bit of that. For example, today I played golf, so it was good, to do some different activity that's kind of like you still are in motion, but you are not really focusing on the basketball now after I came from United States and still have jet lag, so still get my body occupied and mind, but not really be in that mode yet. But as after this weekend, I will like turn back again and start to planning my day to focus on the parts that I need to improve because I will come to the professional tryouts for my future team. So I really need to get again back to the basketball shape and use that.
Yes. And do you, because you don't know how it will be, because this will be the first year for you when you're not a student and you are a professional basketball player. But do you think it will be easier for you to live this life because you don't have school, or you think it's going to be harder because it solely depends on you? There is no school, so nobody's forcing you to get up early, nobody's forcing you to do anything. How do you think it's going to be?
Uh, like I don't want to say like easier in terms of like overall stuff, but for me personally, it will be like easier to schedule the day according to what I need to do. So I have more freedom, but I also know what to do at certain times, so I can really focus on that. So it will be easier because I won't have to worry about having exams and I will just solely focus on basketball.
Yes. Yes. Okay, Nico. Let's go to the last part, and the last
Mhm.
part are fire questions. So the questions are quite short, but your answers can be very short or long as you wish. Okay?
Yes, let's do it.
When I say best moment of your college basketball career, what comes to your mind?
It was my freshman year when we won our conference. We were the number one team in our conference. The feeling of winning, I think that was the best feeling, as it always is, winning with your team, after what you've been through. I think that's always the best feeling, regardless where you at, winning.
Better than being the world champion?
Uh, it was different because yeah, I would say being world champion is like different category because like you are representing your country, but being with your college team, like it was something new for me, to experience that being in new environment and in the new culture.
Okay, next one is what should young players, pay attention to, like a practical advice when deciding which college to choose from? Anything that would come to your mind?
Like place where you can be used the right way, play your game and be welcome there and be appreciated and know you know how to they know how to use you to be your best benefits and how you can help the team to be successful.
Yes. Do you think it's important to go uh, physically to visit that place, or it's enough to have a call and to see each other, let's say over FaceTime?
Mhm. I think it's always better to see it in person so you can kind of know how things are around that environment. So I would definitely, if you have the opportunity to go see first, I think it's better to see it in person.
Okay, so we talked about your best moment, but what was the hardest moment, like of all the, sorry, of all basketball memories in this basketball journey? So what was the hardest?
I think it was the most recent one this season, my senior season, when in the middle of the season I sprained my MCL. So coming and having injury in the middle of season and coming back from it to finish the season, it was like really hard to overcome because we were doing great. We were number one seed in the first part of the season, and then my injury came and I had to rehab during Christmas, and then I got sick. I had flu, so I was basically out for 2 months straight in the middle of the season when the season was peaking, and then I had to come to finish the season, after injury and illness. So that was definitely hard to overcome.
Yeah, I cannot imagine when the team needs you the most, you need to just sit and watch from the bench. And last question, do you have any pre-game routines that you do? Maybe just regular routine or maybe something a little bit awkward?
I do, I want to get like the game day lift, that gets definitely me going, activating my body. It's not like lifting heavy, but just, certain movements activating my core. And then also getting a lot of shots on the game day, like in the morning, get the touch and the feel for the basketball. So my hand, is used to shooting that day. Then I can, be more ready during the game. So that's just my like regular, and then reading a book, to calm my mind before the game.
When, curious now, when do you read a book? Is it right before the game or just during the day of the game?
Yeah, it's right before the game, like in the locker room, like maybe like hour before, before we get to the warm ups. I just sit there and maybe like read like a chapter, and then I get into my stretching, and then we get on the team as a everybody.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Look, Nico, now I always do this. I will summarize in three takeaways for
Hmm.
listeners to kind of understand it a little bit, let's say, to remember a little bit what we were talking about.
Hmm.
If I will not mention something that you feel needs to be mentioned, so let me know. First of all, that we need to work, which is very, very obvious. We need to work on the body, basketball, and mind before going to the USA, but specifically on the mind, because you mentioned that it's much harder than you thought. So that's one. Number two would be finding the way. I really like that you said, even though my arm was sorry, my arm was broken, I still could use my left, and I could work on my left handles. I could do the legs. I could do single arm exercises for upper body. You were finding the way, no matter what type of injury you have. And the third one, it's kind of a little bit similar, but you are adapting to the environment, whether it is, as you said, like as I said, injured, whether you have to adapt to the late flight, maybe you have to adapt to the mentally you are down. So what can I do? Do I need to stay in bed and be sorry for myself, or I need to change something, adapt, because I'm not able to change. I'm going to be in USA either way, no matter how I feel. So with that, we need to adapt. So these my key takeaways, I believe, from our call.
Oh yeah, that's how would I summarize it as well. That's these are great points.
Thank you, Nico, for sharing your story, being honest about the highs and the struggles, the injuries that you had along the way of this basketball journey. I know that this episode will speak to the listeners, young listeners who are either taking this path or considering of taking it. If someone would like to ask any questions for you, would Instagram be the best way to do that?
I'm Greek Beast. That's my nickname you gave me. And I rock it till this day. So that's that's your part. Your nickname to me.
I'm happy it's stick because you are really Greek beast. Nico, thank you one more time, very much. And for everyone else, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode. That is the best way to support us. But for now, keep training basketball, body, and mind.